Welcome to Hacking the Universe. I'm Erin Werley.
I'm Phil Werley.
We're so excited to be here with you guys today. So I really want to talk about the fact that there are seasons in our lives. Do you know what that means, babe?
Yeah, kind of.
What do you think it means?
It means like you go through different periods where you experience different things, you learn different things, and then you move on to something else. Yeah. And you look back and be like, okay, that was a different part of my life than it is now. Like, it's different seasons of my life.
Yeah, I can look back at my life and see that I was in so many different seasons. And often, though, when we're in a season, we don't recognize it. And we think we should be in a different season.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to force ourselves into this other season instead of accepting.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
The season that we're in. Well, great. Can you give us an example from your life where you've done that?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. But I do know this happened to me quite a few times where I look back and on my past and like something where I was, and I know I was so frustrated with the situation and I just wanted something better. I wanted to be in something else. And then when I finally got there, I look back on it. I would not with different feelings, with actual like a nostalgia kind of like I kind of missed that. Like, oh, that was a great, even though it was tough, like a good one would be basic training. Like when I went through basic training in the Army, it sucked. Oh my God, it sucked. And you just want to be over. You want to be out of this. Like you want this to be done because you're in the suck. It's so hard. It's painful. It sucks. But when it's finally over and you look back on it, like you hated it when you were there and you look back on it and you're so proud of what you did and you're remembering all the good things and you're like, I wish I'd paid more attention to the positive aspects when I was there, because it had such a beneficial aspect of my life. You look back and like you talk to somebody you went to basic training with, you talk about all the crazy things you did and the funny things that happened at the time, it was horrible because they were punishing you or whatever, but now you're laughing about it, like, remember that time that guy did this? And that happened to me a lot where I look back and be like, I wish I was more in the moment and appreciating it because now it's over, it's gone, and I can't appreciate it in the moment again.
Yeah. So what happens to us so frequently is we want everything in our now moment to be perfect.
Yeah.
And if it's not perfect, we feel like if I'm seeing like alarm bells, like danger, alarm bells, not a perfect situation. Let's make this perfect.
Yeah.
And the problem is with that is there's all kinds of aspects in our lives. We can't fit everything about our life into one bucket. For example, I am a wife, so I'm married to Phil and I have a relationship with Phil, right? That I have to nurture and give energy to, right? I'm a mom, so I have a relationship with my children that I have to nurture and give energy to. I'm a business owner, so I have a business that I have to nurture and give energy to. I am a daughter, so I have parents and a relationship with them that I have to nurture and give energy to. We have a house that we have to nurture and give energy to.
Yeah.
Right? And then I have a relationship with myself that I have to nurture and give energy to, right? I actually have to give some of my energy to myself so that I don't break down in all these other areas. We really do have to treat ourselves as someone we have a relationship with and make sure that we're giving ourselves the energy and time that we need to sort of decompress so that all these other areas don't take over. So we can look at these areas of our life as buckets. And we don't just have one bucket. We all have many buckets that need our time and energy. But if we believe that it's our job to make all of these buckets perfect at once, literally our brain starts to it becomes overwhelming. Because yes, none of these buckets is going to be perfect. Life isn't about being perfect. It's like Phil said, it's about being real. But what can I appreciate in the moment about it? So not What's all the sucky stuff that I need to fix? Now, recognizing that in any season in life, there's going to be one sucky thing that you're being guided to improve upon. And if you can give your attention and energy to that one sucky thing that you're being guided to improve upon, you can move very quickly through seasons in your life and keep up leveling very, very quickly and achieve your dreams very, very quickly. But if any one season, if you're like, I have all these buckets, I need to do this in this bucket, this in this bucket, this in this bucket, no. Then you stall and none of the buckets gets what it needs. So when Phil was in basic training, that was his bucket he was essentially focusing his energy on. And in basic training, did they give you any opportunity to do anything else other than focus on basic training?
Oh, no.
They took the choice away from him because they know that if you have a lot of free time, that you're going to start focusing on some of the other buckets. You were 18 when you started, right? Or 19. Yeah. So you would have had buckets like looking for a girlfriend, right?
Well, but we had a bucket for anything that we could possibly have. Like, you'd be surprised.
But did they give you any time?
No.
To do any buckets besides?
You weren't allowed to have anything. We weren't allowed to have playing cards or anything,
Right. Because they knew that if you started having time to give your attention to anything else, you would have lost focus on this bucket.
Because I don't know exactly what's going through their heads. I do know that they know what they're doing. I know that much.
Yes. So what I'm really saying is focus in on the bucket that you're being guided to focus in as far as self-improvement. And it might not be the bucket that you think it should be. Trust, though, where your interest is going, where you feel you're being led, and let the other buckets just be, and do your best to have appreciation for the good things in those buckets. And know that you can't make everything perfect all at once. That's not what this is about. Life isn't about achieving perfection. It's about remembering that we already are perfect inside, and how much can we bring that out and start reflecting that inward and outward. And this is when things start changing, when we recognize that we're worthy. It's not about seeing there's a bunch, and I'll tell you what ends up happening. If we're working on 3 or 4 or 5 different buckets at once on improving things, we're going to have all these thoughts rattling around in our head. I have to do this. 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 And they're going to be incessant. And they're going to be telling you, you haven't done this yet. You're not good enough. You're not good enough because you haven't done this yet.
Yeah.
But you're human. You're not supposed to make everything perfect at once. So accepting that we have seasons in our lives, and it's okay that during each season you're really focused in on improving one thing or maybe 2, but I would try, especially if you're just starting to look at things this way, I would try focusing in on 1 really, because that's where you're going to get the biggest impact. And I have discovered through this decluttering journey that this is the season I'm in right now, decluttering and also paying off a lot of debt that we have accumulated. I'm finding how those really go together. Decluttering, because for the first time in my life, I actually have a desire for less things, because I'm recognizing the more and more we declutter and get rid of things that we were holding on to just in case or because we already bought it, that oh my gosh, it's so much more peaceful in our home. It's getting to be more and more peaceful with less things. And it reminds me of the idea of monks where they just have a bed and not much else, right? Maybe a nightstand or a dresser or something in their room. And there's nothing to be rattling around in their brain, reminding them, you have to do this and this and this and this and this. I'm finding so much peace through this process, and I'm releasing the need to have more things. It's really, really interesting. I will tell you what I have. I don't know. I mean, if I were to guess like how many crystals I have, how many crystals do you think I have?
I have no idea.
250? 300?
Oh,
Well, if you include the small ones,
little ones
too.
that the kids play with. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, maybe.
I mean, the big ones, maybe 50,
Okay.
50, 60, something like that. I have a lot of crystals, a lot. And I realized that although I love them, to take them off the shelves and dust them and dust the shelves underneath, that's a huge pain. It's something that I have to manage. Whereas what if I just picked my very favorite crystals and left those out? And let me show you what I created in the bedroom. Like it's so cool. It's so simple. So let me get it. Here, babe. You're gonna have to help me hold it up. You hold up that side. Okay. Now you got to hold it up so the purple part of it is looking out. Okay.
Purple part.
Yes.
Right, am I doing it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've got just 3 of my most favorite, most wonderful crystals here, and I mean, look how nice that looks. It's so simple, but it's like Phil said, what did you say? It looks like something a wizard would have. And I was like, yeah, I am a wizard. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that, babe. Yeah, and it was easy to spot that when I simplified. So I'm still working on the office, but I'm excited. I'm excited. I have like all the crystals out and I'm picking which ones really, really are the ones that I love. And it's been an exciting journey. So yeah. Okay, now you wanted to tell us some stuff.
Well, let's say about seasons of life. Like when you're in it, you think it's gonna last forever. You think like this is forever, and then all of a sudden you're not in it anymore, and you like realize it. And you're like, oh, holy crap! I'm not. It's gone. Like that passed, and like you might have had things that you want to change, you want to get out of it, but then like you kind of miss it. You're like, kind of miss that. You know, you kind of wish like, oh, I wish I paid him more.
I wish I was more grateful in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment,
right?
Yeah, grateful
for the little things.
Yeah. Especially if you move on from people too. You're like, oh, I really wish I'd appreciate them more.
You know, babe, that gratitude is a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So all we have to do is choose to experience it more on a daily basis. Right? Well, I mean, I think this is
you have
good
to remember.
For
you have to remember, like
right?
realize, okay, I have these seasons past my life, and like so what I'm in right now is a season. You don't think it is when you're in it, but you have to realize that. You're like, okay, well, what is it that's going on right now that I'll probably miss once it's over?
Yeah.
A good example, when Maddie was a baby. When he was a baby, that's over. It's like there's so much work, late nights and everything. But then when it's over, you're like, man, I'll never be again.
I know. I'm glad we took a lot of pictures. That makes me really, really happy. I'm so glad we have pictures. And now that they're Leo's 3 and Maddie's 5, I'm like, oh, I wish we could have another one. We took care of that, so it's not an option. Well, I am.
She says that.
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that season of our life is past.
When I had,
we're lucky we got the 2. We got
the first. So I had 2 C-sections, 2 emergency C-sections, and the first one, something really bad happened, and I ended up being given anesthesia and put to sleep completely.
You
so
almost
I
lost
wasn't.
Her. It was
so
scary.
I wasn't. I was not conscious for it, so I didn't experience the feeling of being sliced open and having a child pulled out and then being sewn back up. I didn't experience that consciously. Time number 1. So I was like, yes, let's absolutely have more children. Time number 2, the C-section
No,
went much
what,
better.
What are you talking about?
Well, no, as
After your
far
first-
as from the labor perspective.
Okay.
As far as
But
from the labor. Yes, I know.
after that
Well,
first-
okay,
you-
yes.
You were quite terrified of the idea of having another baby.
Well,
You're
but that
like,
was
"Oh,
for,
I was
okay,
gonna-"
you're right, I was. I
You
was
were
so
terrified.
afraid because I had almost
And
died
I had,
in the
yeah,
first one.
She almost,
You're right.
I mean, like she like
That's
literally
true.
died. They brought her back. So
That's true.
so you were terrified. You're like, oh, I can't have another baby. I'm not gonna survive. And I had to
You're
walk
right.
I had to walk you
No,
through
you're
it
right. I forgot about that.
and be like,
That's funny.
it's okay.
It's because the second experience felt so much more like, at least I was asleep for the first one. The second one, it was so traumatic. I was like, oh, I can't ever do this again.
We theorized that they probably use a lot less anesthesia than they normally do because of the problem with the first one. That's our theory. So that's why you probably felt it all and everything like that.
I felt the whole thing.
I talked to a lot of women and they don't have that experience. They don't feel anything.
I was
they can't
I'm
tell us
never
that.
doing this again.
So I'm assuming the problem with the first one, they use a lot less anesthesia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you felt things. You didn't have the pain, but you felt everything. So I think that's what's going on.
Gosh, that's funny. I forgot. I can remember even after, for when Leo, our youngest, was born, I wanted to have a natural birth even though after a first C-section, they always recommend you just have a second C-section, that's safer. But I was so afraid to have another C-section because of dying the first time that I was like, just please, can I just have it natural? And then
yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, you had some stuff you wanted to talk about.
Oh, so in a previous video, I mentioned that the proverbial they, tend to change information on the internet, and especially Wikipedia. I've seen it happen on Wikipedia. And that happened recently, just like maybe a week ago.
I'm sure it's happening daily.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, I saw it.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, I wasn't the only one. Usually it's just me and people think I'm crazy. A lot of people noticed it this time. I mean, a lot of people. So the GDP information, GDP, yeah, gross domestic product information came out, and if you have 2 quarters of decreased GDP, that signals that we're in a recession, right? And so we've had 2 decreased quarters, and so we're in a recession.
You're talking about for the country, right?
For the country, the U.S. For the U.S. The U.S. is in a recession, right? And so the Biden administration came out and said, no, we're not. And they changed the definition. They literally changed the definition, and they had a bunch of experts come out and say, oh, no, that's not the definition, And
is that the voice they used?
Yeah, that's definitely the exact voice that they used. Anyways, so they redefined. No, I'm sorry, but they said that we're not redefining recession. We're defining it. That's what they said. So on Wikipedia, the Wikipedia page for recession got like 1 million changes, like tons of changes, and people started noticing. They're like, why is there so much change going on the Wikipedia recession change? Because they're trying to change the definition on Wikipedia. And so there was this big, on the Wikipedia page for recession, there was a big, huge, it's not there anymore, but it was there for a while, a few days, like a box with like a warning, And so I'm going to read it to you what it said, and I will put the image it up there so you can see. I took a screenshot because I'm like, oh, this ain't going to be up there for very long. So this is what Wikipedia said. It said, this article may be affected by the following current event. Increased political debate in the United States. Like, how funny is that? Information in this article may change rapidly as the event progresses. Initial news reports may be unreliable. The last updates to this article may not reflect the most current information. And then under it says, an outdated version of this article has been widely circulated. Please check if claims or screenshots you've seen are consistent with what's currently there. ignore what you saw before. What was here before doesn't matter. So this is getting a lot of notice on like social media. Obviously, not the media is not paying attention, but social media is. A lot of people talking about it right now. So it's what's been going on for a long time. People are starting to see it because the world's changing. It's like, I thought that was hilarious when I'm like, oh, there's many, you know.
Well, this one is so commonly known. Like they teach about a recession, like I'm assuming freshman year, and it probably even in high school economics. You know, it's everywhere. So
now they have to change all the textbooks.
Well, that'll take a little bit of time though. So it's interesting. There's so much coming through now where more and more people are able to start seeing the inconsistencies. And that's by design, you know. So it started out,
and that's why this stuff is happening, and people are seeing it when they didn't see it before. They're not able to do it in the shadows, and nobody noticed. Though only a few fringe, crazy conspiracy theorists notice it. Now it's like people are starting to notice this stuff. What else do you want to talk about?
Oh, I want to talk about how cool it was about the book.
Oh yeah, I had two interesting book experiences because I'm into books. I've been starting reading a lot more books recently.
Oh, and we got his blog up.
You did,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's not much on it yet, but there's
one, right?
Yeah,
one, and we're gonna get a second one up. Yeah, we're working on the second one.
Yeah.
So the first one was.
What's the name of your blog, babe?
Let's
plug it.
Phil Reviews Books.
.com.
Yeah. Phil Reviews Books. We had to go through a lot of different options.
We found one that was available. That's not,
a
URL that was available.
But yeah, Phil Reviews Books. Some books. It's from our blog. Take over the world. Book blog. So anyways, I've been looking for this graphic novel called Sandman by Neil Gaiman. He's the big.
What's a graphic novel, babe?
It's a comic book. It's a comic book. Anyways, a comic book is like every month a comic book comes out. But if they take them and bind them together, you have a big collection of them to get the whole story. They call it graphic novel. So anyways, this comic, I was looking for this comic book, but not the comic book, like the trade paperback, the paperback collection of this comic book, Sandman by Neil Gaiman. It's very famous. It's very well known within comic circles. So apparently it's the greatest comics work ever created. I would disagree with that, but anyways, I've been looking for it for a while because it's so popular. You can't.
When you were looking for it, you wouldn't have said you would disagree with it because you.
Well, I hadn't read it. I just recently read it. Right. So I like to get like cheap copies of things, like somebody puts it on eBay and I get for a couple bucks, or maybe I pick it up a thrift store or something like that. And, save money. And for a couple of years, I've been hoping to find a cheap copy, like volume 1 of this, so I could read it. But I haven't run into it because it's so popular, so you can pay $20-$30 just to get the volume 1. So finally I broke down. I was like, I got to read this thing. It's supposed to be the best thing ever written. I got to check it out. So I broke down and I ordered one off of Amazon. I think it was like $35 or something. So I ordered it. And then the next day I went to a thrift store and I walked into the book section. Now this thrift store had it categorized, fiction, nonfiction, cooking section, stuff like that. I walked into the nonfiction section, which I never do. I don't even know why I did. And I'm in the nonfiction section by Civil War history and cooking books and everything. And I look up on the top shelf and there's a Sandman. And it's kind of poking out. I'm like, is that what I'm looking for? And I pick it up and I'm like, this is it right here. By the cookbooks and everything. I'm like, weird. I ordered this yesterday and now I find out at the thrift store. So I bought it for like 50 cents, and I'm like, what the hell? I've been hoping to find this for years. I order it. And the next day I find it at the thrift store. And it's not even like the fiction section. It's by the cookbooks and everything. Like, this doesn't make sense. And like, why I even walked down the aisle, I don't know. And why I even looked up at the top shelf, I don't know. I just looked up and I saw it. And I'm like, there. I'm like, what's going on? It's so weird. And then this happened to me again. We read the book Lonesome Dove. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but it was amazing.
It was really great.
I started reading it, and she saw I was so excited about it.
Well, he kept telling me, like, he's like 50 pages in, and he's telling me every single detail. I'm like, this is really interesting. I want to read it too.
It's like the best book I ever read.
Yeah.
And it's about cowboys. I didn't know what cowboys were until I read this book. Thought I knew what cowboys were. I didn't. But anyways, this book is amazing. So she started reading it too. So we read it together. It was that good. And we're like, man, when we finished it, we're like, man, it's too bad he should have kept renting the store because I want more. Yeah. And then a few days ago, I went on Amazon and I saw, because I was looking up the book, and I was like, oh, he wrote a sequel. I didn't even realize he wrote a sequel. So I was like, I told her, oh my gosh, he has a sequel. We got to get this. We got to read the sequel. And I told her, like, was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah, I think
yesterday.
It was yesterday. Yeah. I told her this morning. I'm like, oh, by the way, there's a sequel to this book. We got to get it. Like, I'm so excited. And I went to a thrift store, and there was the sequel sitting on a shelf right in front of me. I was like, I do a lot of shopping for books at thrift stores and book sales and stuff like that. I rarely run into books by this author because he's so popular. Only a couple times have I seen a copy of a book by him. And there it is. The next day, I see a copy, this book I've been looking for. I was like, I just found out about this yesterday. And then here it is. What does that mean? What does that mean?
I think it means that you're in really good alignment right now, babe. Yeah. I think that we are in really good alignment.
We got to remember that we're creators, so we can create this stuff, because apparently I'm creating this stuff, apparently,
Now, what I think is interesting is we've started to really, I'm calling it thread the needle on our guidance, which we have not been the best at.
No,
it's guidance.
Sometimes you have to not follow guidance so you can learn to follow your guidance.
So you can learn the lessons that time to follow the guidance. But then again,
you tell people to follow guidance.
And I do. So I follow a lot of my guidance, but some of the things my guidance tells me to do is incredibly painful to me.
Yeah.
Because it's so much leaving things behind that I really like or I love.
You have to get over that fear of loss and that trust. You got to go within that trust.
Now,
go with it.
I wouldn't have created.
It's a process.
Everything that I've created if I wasn't doing a very good job of following my guidance. I am, but at the same time, there have been pockets of resistance of me saying, "Absolutely not! I'm not doing that. Don't make me do that. Don't make me do that." Right? And I've kind of released all of that. I'd say. I think the decluttering process has actually assisted me in that because I'm seeing how free I'm becoming through letting go of things. And all of the things in my guidance are always let go of this, focus on this instead. And I'm finding that I was resisting focusing in on where my guidance wanted me to focus because I was afraid. I was afraid I wouldn't be good enough or some variation on that. And so, for example, I just, as we started decluttering the house and becoming more minimalist, I'm like, oh, well, I see my guidance has been pushing me towards a minimal business ever since I started, but I was having a hard time seeing the forest through the trees because even though like I teach people, because I know it's true and this is what I'm guided to, that we follow our guidance spot on every single step of the way in business. I was resisting doing that, which means I have been resisting welcoming in the next level of success in my business, right? So
you never know better than your guidance.
No,
even the guidance doesn't make sense.
Yes.
It will make sense later. It will. Yeah. You'll be shocked. You're like, what? That worked out.
Yeah. So my guidance is to write more books now, keep doing courses, really do my blog for real, which like that scares me so much. I don't know why that scares me so much. But yes,
you're like perfect for a blog.
Yeah, and keep doing these YouTube videos.
Such a good writer.
And release all of the extra things, the Instagram, the TikToks, because really that took up like 80% of my time. Yeah. So I had almost no time for what is the core of my business. And 80% of my time went to this thing that I enjoyed. And anyway, I don't feel enjoyment on Instagram or TikTok anymore. In fact, I haven't been going on at all. And I don't know if I'll cancel the accounts or what I'll do, but it feels really good to be finally following my guidance and trusting. I had to step into a new level of trust in my guidance to do this. And that was a journey. It was a journey, and it took a lot of energy work to get there to this next level of trust, and really repeating the phrase. And I know I sent this out in last week's weekly guidance, the phrase, I choose to trust that all is unfolding divinely, has helped me so much. I really, really recommend that, because you can move yourself through anything that's scaring you if you start focusing in on that. Because trust is a choice. It's not something that's going to knock you upside the head one day and say, hello, I'm here. You have to choose to trust before you fully feel it, so that you can really walk yourself into it. So I choose to trust that all is unfolding divinely.
Cool. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Thanks, Boo. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I don't know. Do we have more talks to have on?
I don't think so.
I do remember now another example of where I found something I've been looking for. Okay. I don't know if you remember this. When I was a kid, I've told you the story before. I collected G.I. Joes. Mm-hmm. I loved G.I. Joes, and I wanted all the G.I. Joes. Not like the big dolls, but like little 3-inch action figures. And I wanted all of them. So I would go garage selling with my mother. This is probably why I like garage sales. As a kid, I would go garage selling with my mother, and I'd always look for the G.I. Joes. And I'd try to collect them all. And eventually I had like all the G.I. Joes. I think there was like 100 of them or something. I had all of them, every single one, except for one. There was one G.I. Joe, the Baroness, the villain girl. I couldn't find her for the life of me. I never found her. And never had her. So anyways, so years later, we were adults. We went garage selling once. This is before the kids were born, I think, right? And I've been garage selling a lot because we're trying to sell stuff to get the money to publish the book and everything. And so I've been going to a lot of garage sales. I never saw G.I. Joes. And we went garage selling one day, and this lady had this garage sale, and on the table in front of her was this G.I. Joe I was looking for, the Baroness. It was sitting there on the table, and I was like, what the heck? So I bought this G.I. Joe for like $0.25. I remember you were like, what's going, you and the lady were like sharing eyes, like, why is he buying this doll, this girl, you know? So I bought it, and then we got in the car, and you're like, okay, I know there's got to be like a story behind this, why you're buying that. So I told her the story. So I never found this G.I. Joe. And then as an adult, crossing with my wife, I find it. It's like, what the heck? Like, weird. Like, I still don't know exactly what that means. I don't know. I was like, I feel like it means something. I don't know.
You could ask yourself what it means.
I guess so. Yeah. See. Yeah. The answer comes to me.
Amazing.
Yeah. I found it. Found it eventually.
That's really cool, Ben.
Yeah. Listen, J.
So many things like that have happened to me, but nothing's coming to mind right now. So I'm just going to trust that that's okay. That's okay. It's okay.
It means like, no matter how difficult it seems, eventually what you're looking for will come to you. Maybe
I like that.
Unlikely way, eventually it'll come. Yeah, because I was creating that as a kid. You know, I remember I'd have the little piece of paper with would show all the different G.I. Joes that they had, and I'd look at them and like imagine which ones I wanted, and like imagine finding them. You know, that's probably how I found them. You know, I didn't know what I was doing, but apparently it worked.
It's incredible. Congratulations, babe.
Thanks.
All right. Sending you guys so much love. We'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with us.